Good afternoon, everyone. / good evening. This is the Rant, episode 10. We're gonna do some techno. We're gonna do some techno today. And I also got a topic that I was kind of on the heated side, so this is actual a rant. So if it doesn't comply, just let it fly. But words will be said on this one. What's going on, C. Marie? Thank you so much for stopping in. Mr. Spookly, thank you so much for stopping in. So let's go.
Say if I decide to, if I decide, if I decide to, if I decide.
has a price tag. Now it comes with a bill. You got a last name, drag your past up a hill. You got a sweet face, send a spine up the wall.
All right. Got about good 10 more minutes, and then we're going to be heading for the rant. So make sure you keep it locked here. Hope you enjoy the music. Hope you digging the techno set that I threw down for you guys. This is the Groove Rant, episode 10. And I happen to be Househeadspeakz, coming to you live for the Chi-Town, Chicago. We do this every Monday, 5 p.m. Central Time, that's 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you let everybody know about this awesome segment, music and discussion. We're combining the two. The music portion will be reposted on my Mixcloud. Just search Househeadspeakz. The entire segment will be posted on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. That's going to be tomorrow, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So keep it locked here. The rant will be coming up in a few moments. Okay. Thank you all for listening to the music. Now we're gonna get to the portion of the rant, and today is going to be a rant. So usually I always let people know that it'll be a discussion or things of that nature, but today it's going to be a rant because there's something that I must get out there. Now, here's my disclaimer for the DJs who's listening in, and you are a DJ that plays out more so than you play online on live stream. You know what I'm about to say, you know, doesn't shouldn't bother you, and shouldn't be me trying to ruffle any feathers. So, you know, if it doesn't apply, just let it fly. And the reason I'm saying this because where I live, there's been some chatter about DJs who play out maybe not regularly, maybe not often, but occasional. But these DJs who play out in front of crowds at venues and gigs and things of that nature, they're pretty much bad mouthing DJs who play online via live stream like yours truly. Now, I take offense to that because I started this journey as an online DJ, and I happen to be fortunate enough to play on occasion outside, even outside of, not just my state, my city, outside of the country. So I am fortunate enough to do that. And I know there's other DJs who's probably has a platform such as mine, are experiencing that same thing. And if that is the case, why we have to hear from DJs who only play outside and don't have any online presence? Why we have to hear the disrespect, the bad mouthing, the the talking behind the back, so to speak? You know, what my thing is, what is your issue with DJs who play online via live stream? That's the question I'm going to tackle today. So without further ado, let's get to it. Greetings, everyone. Good evening. Hope you're having a good Monday. Thank you so much for joining in this segment of the Groove Rant. Now, if I pause, I apologize in advance, but I really want to get this out, and I want to make sure I what I say becomes clear, precise, and to the bloody point. Now, in all intents and purposes, I would love to use bad language because that's how angry I am about this. But I will refrain because A, I'm on Twitch. B, this is going to be replayed on YouTube, and I don't want to get in trouble with neither platform because these platforms have been the callous of me doing what I do. So I will make sure that I be as mindful to their rules as possible. But the question I do have is, what's the issue? What DJs who doesn't play online on live stream? What issue do these DJs have for DJs who do play online and live stream? Now I did do some research as I always do with these particular discussions, and I will go into the points that I'm going to make on here. Now, I won't make all of the points, but the rest will be at the description box below once it gets posted on YouTube, so you will have everything. But I'm really want to bring home some key factors that I saw that needs to be addressed. So, without further ado, let's get to the presentation. And if you dig in the black background and the shirt, yeah, it's about techno. So, you know, I wanted to keep that theme. So, let's go. Wait a minute. I thought that I have put down the presentation I have. Um, Give me one quick second, please. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay, this is my question. Why do other DJs have an issue with DJs who play online and live stream? And that's a valid question for me because, in my mind's eye, if you are a DJ, it shouldn't matter if you play offline or online. If you playing at a big festival or you playing at the privacy of your own studio, as far as live streaming. you're still a DJ. You have whatever DJ equipment you're using, which is whether it is decks or all-in-one controllers, or a controller that uses a laptop and uses software, like my controller here, and you playing in front of the masses, where the masses is a crowd at a venue or festival or any social event outside, or via the chat, or people who's lurking and probably working and listening in, via online live stream. So where's the disconnect here? I don't see. I'm trying to figure out what is the issue. Why us online DJs getting disrespected by DJs, and some of the DJs who are saying what they're saying don't play out often, never played outside a little bloody bubble, and probably never stepped outside their city or state ever to play. But yet, we, as online live stream DJs, who when we go live, we have the entire world checking us out, but we're getting disrespected. I will not accept that at all. But let's go to what these so-called complaints is all about. Okay, according to this, we're saying other DJs often have issues with online live stream DJs for a few key reasons. We're going to get to those reasons. But my thing is, why? There should not ever be a reason. I'm a DJ just like a person who's playing in one of the major festivals is a DJ. It's just that we have a different way of getting our music out, and we on different platforms. That DJ who's playing at a festival is playing in front of massive crowd, or the DJ who's playing at a nightclub or venue is playing in front of a crowd of people who's probably dancing on the dance floor, or a DJ who's probably playing at a corporate event or a rooftop, things of that nature, playing again in front of a large crowd. Online DJs, on the other hand, we're playing in the privacy of our own spot, studio, corner, whatever you want to call it, in your home, apartment, flat, crib, whatever you want to say it. But we still have people listening and watching us play. And then we engage those people via the chat. Especially if you're on Twitch, there's a chat where where you have fellow DJs or other people who are fellow listeners to the genre that you're playing are engaging and tuning in. And you're able to engage with them back by waving in front of the cam, giving them shout outs, things of that nature. So again, where is the disconnect? And even if you are an online DJ and you do get an opportunity to play out, why we're still getting disrespected for those when another DJ see us playing out, calling us, well, you ain't nothing but an online DJ. You don't know nothing about this and this and that. Memory serves, I learned the same fundamentals as that DJ did. I learned how to beat match, drop on the one, do transitions, blends, the fundamentals of what a DJ is supposed to learn. I learned those things here in the privacy of my own place. I had a fellow DJ that taught me those fundamentals and I practice those fundamentals. So when I was capable to play out or even play here, I have the capability to do so. So again, what is the disconnect? And what's the problem? Okay, we're gonna go to the first complaint. Okay, perceived lack of skills and experience, which is a bunch of BS. Because I know online DJs some started during the pandemic. That's in 2020. We had 2025. That's 5 years ago. I started DJing before then. I started 2017. Now, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I've been doing this as of this year for 8 years, both on and offline. Okay? Now, according to this here, it's saying some traditional DJs feel that online DJs rely too much on software automation, sync, quantized effects, pre-recorded sets. Okay, let's stop there. Yes, I learned using a controller, which is software. But guess what? Every DJ who's playing on CDJs and using their USBs, guess how those tracks are being analyzed through? A software system, mostly record box. So don't try don't try to play me with that. Okay, now the sync, the quantized effects, the pre-recorded sets. Okay, yes, I know sync has been utilized, and usually I hear it's been utilized. And if it has, who cares? As long as, sync will not help a DJ if he doesn't know how to beat match. Period. So let's cut that mess out now. Quantize, yes, I quantize every one of my tracks. So bloody what? As long as I have did the other fundamentals of DJing, so I quantize. Big whoop. And I still get to play outside of my city. How about that? Pre-recorded sets. Memory serves, there's been a couple producers who's played in every major festival, not only in the US but all over the world, has had pre-recorded sets. It's been proven. If you go to one of my Monday night rants on YouTube, I said something about that. So let's not front saying that online DJs are the only one doing pre-recorded sets. No one should be doing pre-recorded sets to begin with. That's why my cam I have a cam that shows my controller, which shows me doing everything. I am very transparent. I don't hide anything because I want people to know what I do is what I'm doing. What you see is bloody what you get. Now, here's the other one. There's belief that some online DJs don't have experience playing for a physical crowd. That's wrong as well. Because there are a number of DJs who have started playing offline, has played online, and some of those DJs have not went back to offline because they have families and things of that nature, or they became partner on Twitch and they're making a enough income where they don't have to play outside anymore, and they can do it all in the privacy of their own studio. And they built their studio, and they built, probably got a second room or a second basement where they built everything where they can just play on Twitch regularly. And they could have, and they probably was DJs that had played outside, but they felt the need to put it in studios so they can be closer to their families. And again, making a supplemental income. Okay. Now I have played for physical crowds. I have played outside. I have played in festivals before. I played outside my city before and played outside my country before in front of people. And I always been fortunate to have DJs who supported me in case I need to make sure that I am doing what I need to do on the decks. I have DJs that have decks at their place and allow me to utilize them. So this noise needs to stop. Okay. Now the other part is which requires a different level of energy control and adaptability. Guess what? I have that experience. Because like I said, I played in crowds, and I know other DJs who played on Twitch have done the same thing and is still doing it today. So this notion by saying that online DJs lack skill and experience, I'm gonna call cap on that. Because in the 8 years of me being a DJ, I have done more things in my 8 years than most DJs who's only playing outside has done. Period. Now we're gonna go to the next one. This is what I really want to get into the meat potatoes of, because I believe this is the issue. Saturation and competition, especially that second word, competition. But we're going to get to that. So we're going to read the first part of this. Streaming platforms have made DJing more accessible, leading to a massive influx of new DJs. But guess what else is going on? And I'm sure everyone has been noticing. Clubs worldwide has been closing. Venues worldwide has been closing. There are not enough today. There are not enough clubs for DJs to play. So most of the DJs that's trying to play out has to be more creative and more strategic. You know, some have built crews, some have built communities, some have found other places to play. And yeah, that's why these DJs who's playing out are having a hard time. And I understand that. Every DJ is having a hard time. But here's the advantage that I personally have. I still can play online, live stream, on Twitch, anytime I want. I don't have to rely on trying to beg for a gig, beg for a venue, beg for a promoter to allow me to play. I remember 1 month I played Ray Trains and all every week for that entire month. And with that persistence, that's how I gained my following. Okay. Yes, they're saying this increased competition for gigs, followers, and exposure. Of course it does. But like I said, there are not enough venues and nightclubs for the DJs that's coming up. So again, DJs have to get more creative. And if you're an outside DJ and you complain about a DJ who's playing online trying to create their own niche so they can play out, that's a you problem. That is not our problem. That's maybe something that you need to do about or try to get with one of our DJs instead of trying to go behind our online DJs back and talking smack. Okay. Now here's the other thing right here. Some veteran DJs feel frustrated that online DJs gain recognition quickly through social media rather than years of club experience. Well, you know what? This is 2025. This is the social media years. And it's been like that since social media has been out. If you're a DJ, especially if you're a veteran DJ, and if you don't know how to utilize social media by now, that is your bloody fault. And by you trying to blame online DJs for being more knowledgeable and utilizing social media to our advantage of getting the word out, whether we're playing offline as well as live stream, guess what? Again, that's a you problem. That is not our problem. And you're talking to a person who used to be a blogger, and I started blogger and online radio back in 2010. And that's when online radio was just starting out. And I've been consistently doing it since that time. So I was able to adapt to whatever change that online radio, live streaming, and social media had to offer. Why? Because I made sure that I kept myself abreast to those change. Now, sometimes I may have started late, but I was capable of catching up and also being ahead of the curve. And I always kept as much research and make sure I got with as much knowledgeable people as possible for things that I did not understand. And like I said, I have 8 years of experience in DJing and more experience as a blogger. So I know the workings of social media. When I was a blogger, I had 10,000 followers through my whole social media network. And not once have I ever paid for an ad. Now today, I do pay an ad for one off-site magazine, and they've been pretty good to me, and I appreciate that. Shout out to Poise Magazine. But it was cost efficient. You know, any questions I had of them, they allowed me to. They was able to answer my questions, and they did it exponentially and at a timely manner. Okay, I don't want to go off on a tangent, so let's get to the next one. Pay and booking issues. Here we go. Okay. Some clubs book online DJs with big followings, assuming they'll bring in a crowd, but that doesn't always translate to ticket sales. Well, here's the thing. If you're booking an online DJ to a huge venue and if they don't, because most of our followers don't even live in our state, don't even live in our city. Most of our followers are in another state, another city, another country, another continent. And as a promoter, you should have been aware of that. It's called doing your bloody research. And you should be doing your research on every DJ, especially if it's a DJ that you not as familiar with. Again, that is a you problem, promoters. That is not our problem. And for those DJs who feel the need that they lose gigs to influencers, here's my thing, and I always say this. If you're an outside DJ and you're afraid of a DJ who plays strictly online, who still knows all the fundamentals and things in that nature, if you are afraid of that DJ, get out of the game. Because that means you wasted your years of your so-called experience and you didn't do your doggone job, or you did not adapt to change. Because that's always the name of the game. If you don't adapt, you become irrelevant. And if that's the case, you better start looking in the mirror to find out whose fault that is. Okay, online DJs sometimes accept lower pay or even pay for free exposure, which can drive down rates for working DJs. Okay, here's my take on that, and I'm glad that particular piece is on there. What do you expect a DJ who's an online DJ or any new or upcoming DJ who's starting out, who's getting their first big gig? How you think we're supposed to get our foot at the door? You can't say that you're a DJ, whether you're online or you're new or up and coming, go up to a venue and say, well, you want me to do a 2-hour set? I want $500. They're going to look at you like, we don't know you. We just saw you online and listened to your mixes. We don't know what you can do outside of a crowd. We don't know what you can do in your venue. So you don't do that to yourself. You have to start somewhere. I always say, you have to crawl before you can walk. So yes, there are times you will have to accept a lower price. I look at it like this. Some money is better than no money. You mean to tell me if you have an opportunity to play at a venue that you've been wanting to play all the times that you've been DJing, and that promoter said we can give you maybe a 1.5 hour opening set, we can only pay you $200, or let's put it this way, we can only pay you $150. Are you going to be stupid and say no, or you going to be strategic and say yes? I pray it's the latter. And DJs who have an issue with new and upcoming DJs playing for exposure, what's it to you? As long as you playing out and you getting paid what you worth, don't worry about what new, upcoming, and online DJs are doing as far as trying to get their name out there. My question is, are you going to help them? Are you willing to give a helping hand? Are you willing to talk to your usual promoter and say, hey, I know this person. He's a good DJ. He mostly play online, but I was hoping you can get a spot for him. Maybe you can do an opening or a closing set. Are you willing to do that? Because I can tell you, if you live in the city of Chicago, I can answer it boldly. Absolutely not. Because I experience it. I was that new and upcoming DJ. Going to all the events, all the parties, knew the people who was in charge of the organizing, knew the promoters, asked them, and every last one of them said, no, you gotta wait your turn, you gotta pay your dues. Even though I've been in this scene before most of them been in bloody diapers. So that's why I chose another route. And now, because the route I chose has benefited me and probably other online DJ, now it's a bloody problem. Well, guess what? It's your problem, not ours. Okay, we're going to end this here because I think I say more than I wanted to say about this issue. But all I want to say about my online DJs and my DJs who's doing live stream, whatever live stream platform you're using, and you want to also play out, don't listen to these people because they're jealous of you. They're upset because you have an advantage over them. And maybe you do have a following in your area who probably seen you online, and then when you play out, they get to support you. And they still gonna be mad at that as well. And to the DJs who are fixing their mouths to talk to badmouth online DJs, please stay in your lane. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a DJ, continue to do so. Stop worrying about what online DJs are doing. Stop worrying about what DJs who plays on platforms like Twitch is doing. Don't worry about us. We're just fine. We're doing what we are doing. And it's paying dividends for us. We don't need you. Unless you're willing to assist and collaborate, I'm gonna need you to go have a seat and keep your mouth shut. Because if I have to come at my platform again, names will be dropped. And it's not a threat, it's not a warning, it's a guarantee. This is Househeadspeakz. Thank you all for listening in. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed the music earlier. Make sure you know that the Groove Rap is every Monday, 5 p.m. Central Time. That's 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We repost the entire show on YouTube on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And the audio version, the music version, is posted on my Mixcloud. All you gotta do is look under Househeadspeakz on all those platforms and you will be able to find it. Thank you all. And as always, peace and love.